There you go, a session from the Oosterpoort from James Vincent McMorrow, recorded a little bit earlier on today. Hear the noise that moves so soft and low. And James is actually here after his escapades at the EBBA Awards. The only man who's ever played 2 tracks on the awards, I believe. Is that true?
Apparently so. I didn't realise that until Ian just told me there. But yeah, apparently. I feel very honoured.
Look, you were here last year, so 12 months and a lot has happened. It must have been just a phenomenal year, 2011, for you.
Yeah, no, it has been. It's really only when kind of you come up to 12. Being here, particularly, has kind of given me kind of a sense of like retrospective, like just looking back at the year, because EuroSonic last year was the first moment where everything kind of started. It was the catalyst for it. Like the year I had before that was incredible. It was like I was playing in Ireland and I was really happy with how things had gone, but then the record wasn't out in the UK and Europe or in America, so EuroSonic was the first thing, and playing that show and the things that came from it and everything that came from it since has just been absolutely insane.
And you were saying something like that last year you were away for 250 days of the year,
something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah 200 shows I think was the count that we got, so didn't realise until someone told me in December.
Does this kind of cause problems for kind of writing a second album, because you're away a lot, and I'd imagine that kind of impedes a little bit on your creative process, perhaps?
Well, as I was saying earlier, I think it kind of depends on how you write. If you're like I sit down with the guitar and I write lyrics and melody at the same time, then it would be really difficult unless you wanted to write, if you want to write an album about, the Holiday Inn, then you could probably like write a really compelling one. But
are you going to?
No, I'm not. No, I think it was a Chingy that had that song, and Snoop Dogg. The way I write is very much based on sort of having melody and the structure of a song, and especially with the second record is very much based on rhythm and a lot more groove, I guess, for want of a better term. So I've accumulated a huge amount of stuff over the year, and over November, December I was kind of started work on it and hope to have it finished in March or April. So it hasn't been a problem for me because I won't work on lyrics until the very last moment. That's usually how I work. But anybody that was in another position, the kind of life last year, just touring and traveling, like I say, at airports and hotels, that's pretty much it, and sleep.
Rock and roll. Dave, by the way, do you have any questions for James?
Well, you have another number there that he's going to play live as well. Just a few things about this second album you mentioned, because I know there was talk. I mean, everybody talks Bon Iver in terms of the first album. You go away to an isolated place all by yourself and you make an album. And whether you like it or not, there's going to be connections there, even then when the music comes out. But I'm just thinking of the second album. I mean, I know you're a big fan of After the Gold Rush, etc., by Neil Young. Yes. Is there a chance at all that you did fulfill the dream, i.e. and go to one of the canyons in LA and rent a house and have musicians popping in and out, and that'll be the second album? Or is that the way it's going to be?
Hi there, first of all, how are you? We talked when I was in LA. We finished up our last US tour in LA. We did 2 nights there, and I went and actually did the cliche thing and looked at houses in Laurel Canyon and Topanga Canyon.
You'd have to.
Yeah, I think you do. I had this kind of notion that like I wanted to make it someplace warm, and that was the plan. That was kind of what I thought. I would come back and write, and then I'd go out there in February or March. But as it turned out, like with the touring in January and February is completely locked off. It was way busier than I thought. So once that was kind of, that notion was out the window, I ended up just deciding to spend the money that I'd sort of gotten from the labels on actually building a studio back home in Ireland. Because the thing with the first record was it was made by necessity more than any grand plan. I didn't have this fantastic desire to be amongst
that
nature.
That may well
be,
James, but made by necessity implies also, like in this case, like, kind of the myth of a record. I mean, there's lots of records that people have, and they know and feel where that record came from. They just have an idea. Like when I think of After the Gold Rush, I just think of those canyons in LA or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, like, you blew it.
I blew it. I could have had it all. I could have done it. It's like
you could have had it all, indeed. Yeah.
I know. No, I mean, the reason I talked about where the first record was made was because it was intrinsically linked. Like I couldn't have made that record anywhere else, and it wasn't my plan. But as it worked out, it was just how it was meant to be. But for the second record, I just want to be able to kind of articulate any ideas I have, and I don't want to get carried away with the whole notion. Like I say, those ideas are fantastic. Going to Laurel Canyon and being amongst that sort of aesthetic is incredible as a musician, and it ticks every box. But I just want to make the best thing that I can make.
Okay, so it's a studio in Ireland and not Clara Head and Drogheda, no?
No, it's not. It's I'm renting a house, and I've sort of built the studio into it. So I'm just gonna live there and exist there for as long as it takes. Who knows how long it'll take? But so far so good. I mean, I'm recording in my house very quietly,
right.
so as not to upset my neighbours.
Okay, well look,
so
enjoy
far.
yourself over there. And Dan, you better
Thank you.
introduce her. One of you tell me what's happening next, music-wise.
Well, do you want to introduce this, James, since it's your song?
Sure. Is it the second song I did? I'm not
It
sure
is
I
the
did
second
three.
song.
Okay, cool. The second song I recorded today was "Follow You Down to the Red Oak Tree."